you fast forward like another 100 years, it's kind of like when you go out into certain communities, it's like, man, or even have you guys been to any of the was it life insurance seminars where they actually kind of teach you about like different term insurance and so on and so forth?
Yeah,
Right.
I realized my IQ is very low when it comes to business and economics.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of us out here that don't have it.
Right. We don't put ourselves in that situation. We just want to make money. It's almost like we have been melded into the pot of economics, but we don't know anything about the economic parts.
We're the number one consumer in the United States.
Right.
So we really drive what you consider the economics, but we have no, I'm not speaking for the whole, majority or a lot does not have the knowledge of those who are profiting from our buying power.
Right.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah. You said it. You nailed it right on the head because you nailed. Go ahead.
Before you say that, and it's about getting money, but it's only from a mentality of survival.
Right.
It's not from a mentality of the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. It's about right here, right now, which goes back to what Malak likes to say, the census. Instant gratification.
Right.
But
now, when you saying, certain things like that, we would probably teach it's all about now versus what's in the future.
Right.
So it's kind of like
a paradox. It's a
right?
paradox, yeah.
So you can take that way and say, okay, well, I'm a save up or get these life insurance policies,
right,
or what have you, and so my descendants can have some when I'm gone, right. But we will always say, live in the moment, live in the moment, live in the moment.
Be present,
not in the future. So, but like you say, it's a paradoxical thing because when you're looking at, when you're influenced by certain things that you see out in the structure where you live at, you don't see these things. You don't see African Americans getting wealth by life insurance policies or
owning property.
We own property. I'm gonna tell you what happens. We own property, and then when it's transferred to someone else after that person dies, they want to sell it real fast.
Because they don't have the IQ to know what that property is really worth than a quick spin.
Right, because they're living in the now moment, which we probably teach. But I will say this though, in that if you're gonna sell the property, at least create something for your family to live in the moment and afterwards, after the moment.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I've seen it. I see it all the time when, people pass, they get these homes or inherit these homes. The first thing they do is go,
I don't want this.
I don't want it, or I'm gonna sell it, I'm gonna do this. Not understanding the wealth of property. The wealth of property is one of the basic economical things you can do is own property. Because
land acquisition.
Because you can do so much with that property.
Yeah.
You can plant whatever you want on the property. Depends on where it's at. Now you can put animals on that property that can bring you things back in. But then you got the thing, well, who's going out there and farm this land? A lot of us don't want to go out there and farm no more.
But you can rent it. You can
rent
rent a plot.
Right. You can rent it out to somebody that's gonna do these things or what have you and get that money acquired to do things.
Right. Make the land work for you.
Let it work for you.
You could put a range on your land if you got a good amount of acres away from,
Exactly. Or you can just rent the property out.
Right.
Especially if it's a home on it. If it's a home on it, go ahead and just rent that property out. Now, a lot of people say, well, I don't want to do that because people come in and tear it up. Oh, well, you just fix it up when they leave. Continue on doing it. And then the next thing you know is inherited into the into the family as economical structure in your family.
Right.
No matter if it's here in the now moment, but when it comes in the future, it's the now moment for that person to to continue it on instead of getting it and selling it off to somebody.
Right.
I've seen. I mean, I went through. I say this. I went through this. I went through this last year, but we end up getting property, but we didn't sell the property.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my sister moved in to the property, right, and I took her property. She didn't work. You know, she moved into this other property, and I just took her property and just rent the property out, so it won't be out of the family structure.
Right.
So if something happens to me and my sister or whatever, it can fall down to our children,
right,
or my sisters and my brother's children,
right.
But see, then you get somebody that's thinking they left out.
That's why there's something called a trust. And a trust, a trust is an agreement or something that you sign up to say that these parties have to agree as a collective to release whatever that trust is entailing.
Right. And oh man, because I want to go on that and go back down. I'm going to go down to South Carolina to the Gullah Geechee people.
Okay.
Because they own that property down there, and they had that trust within their system.
Right.
And it ain't written down, but it's in the system saying no. Everybody has to agree to sell this property if it's one whole family. But then you get those, since it's not written down. Now somebody can come in and say, "No, I'm selling this," without talking to other family members. Which
I think I watched a story about that. It happened exactly in that same
exactly.
Group.
That's when you get to. I think there's a golf course down there now where a lot of Caucasians are living on it now. Golf course down there, and they didn't bought the property from somebody else that was deemed inheritance to the Gullah Geechee people,
right,
or their family, or whoever family structure that is. You know what I'm saying? It's different family structures down there that own this land, or this land. And you don't supposed to get rid of it because that was the community. That was the community
property.
way.
Right.
It's community property, right? It's community property. Yo, what are you doing?
Right.
You know, you got to let a family member that's probably living in maybe California somewhere, if they ain't got nowhere to stay, guess what? They could, you can come back over here. You can come over here and stay.
Right. Especially with these inflated home prices right now in the market.
Yeah.
Yeah. Properties is going to be, it is very essential to have property right now.
Bro. Not even that. You talk about insurance. Then you got taxes on top of that. And I don't even want to talk about it. But the insurance that went up.
Yeah.
Mine's went up. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
I mean, well, for that, for that subdivision of parcel, you know what I'm saying, like that. And it's going to do that based on how they project the value to either increase or decrease, you know what I'm saying, as time goes out.
Yeah.
And it's like, where you're at is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's probably the largest parcel of land, you know what I'm saying, in Hampton Roads, Suffolk.
Right. Yeah, they have a lot of property out there. So, but all of that goes inside of the economics.
No, I got you.
You know,
I mean that's land acquisition is one facet of maintaining.
Sleeka, well, I don't think there's anything we can do about it. The volume's low. They're saying the volume's low.
Yeah, I went over there and I turned it up a little bit, but I think it just might be
just the connection.
Yeah. I do apologize for that.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if it's low, fam, we
catch us on YouTube.
We always record it on another different device and we put it up on YouTube, and also on our Spotify. And you can catch it there. Right now, unfortunately, we just got to deal with what we got to deal with Facebook, this Facebook thing. So,
yeah,
but you could, if you always on this channel or we putting stuff out on Facebook, you can always see that we dropping the videos, and and
they're a lot clearer.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, land acquisition is I would say that should probably be a foundational step in continuing the economic strategy, right? And then I think the next thing is
Investment.
yeah, that and understanding the public policy that surrounds land acquisition.
Well, enlighten us, brother.
That's that's pretty. That can be pretty in depth, and there's a lot of legal terms in that. And I don't offer legal advice.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? So maybe in another show we could go into that, but there is a lot that surrounds land acquisition.
Right. Yeah, it does. It's a lot. But I think we're gonna touch on it a little bit more.
Okay. So let me make sure this is okay.
Yeah.
Here's another hot one. When people talk about like reparations.
Right. Well, man, I'm kind of like in the middle of that. You know what I'm saying? I take the middle ground on it. And why I say I take the middle ground on it is because you see reparations going out to other ethnicities or people other than what they would call African American people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You even got reparations for people who lost their slaves, and they got reparations. You know what I'm saying? So it's, to me, I'm in the middle. I'm for it, but if we don't get it, I'm not worried about it because I gotta keep moving how I move. I say this: if you believe in any kind of blessings or cursings or whatever, I take the high road and go with the blessings. I don't subscribe to no curses or nothing. I don't subscribe to that stuff. I don't know what that is. I only get blessings. Now anybody else may call it a curse or what have you, but I don't look at it like that. It's just a learning process of what you got to go through. So it can't be that. It has to be love on the other side. Let me explain this and how my thinking is. It's nothing but love.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how it comes down the pipeline, there is nothing but love. You may feel a certain way, or you may, it may not feel good to you, but it's still love. It's love all in the situation. So I deal with the higher ends on the spectrum of blessings. I don't deal with none of that other stuff. I ain't cursed on nothing.
What's up? What you got?
No, I'm saying I'm trying to see what you're talking about.
No, well,
I
asked him about reparations because that's another topic that kind of circles in our community about, it's contended that it's a debt that's owed to those who are descendants of
Go ahead.
slaves.
Right. So let me really touch on this, right? Because a lot of people, we may not understand certain things because we're in a place of somebody telling us something that this is what happened. So who's gonna get these reparations? How many African American people that's here?
Well, that's part of the discussion. You know what I'm saying? The discussion is just like, well, how would you allocate reparations and to whom? Right. So there's I'll give you an example. Mm-hmm. There's a book by what's the guy's name? William Darty. Mm-hmm. He's a professor, and the book is called From Here to Equality. And basically what he talks about in that book is, he discusses, the contents of reparations, how it relates to slavery, perhaps a plan about, how you would identify and divvy that out, so on and so forth. And I think one thing that was mentioned in it is like, you would have had to have identified as a Black, African American, or Afro American for at least a decade. And then another part of it that he mentioned to put you in line for something like that is that, you know, you would have to show in some